Hi there guys, and in this video I'm going to be showing you my latest toy here. This is a telescope from a company called Svbony. Actually I've got the whole kit from them. So you buy the scope, you buy all the pieces, you have to kind of figure out what it is you want and how it all goes together. So this is a apochromatic telescope. So it gets rid of what's called apochromatic or chromatic abrasion around the edge of the image, where you get this kind of rainbow effect. So they're a little more expensive, but it improves the image quality. I've got a manual mount here. I've actually got on order from another company a motorized mount so that we can track and things like that as the objects move in the sky. I'm completely new to astrophotography or astronomy in general. This is a new hobby, and I did some reading about it and figured out what it is I need to buy. So basically here we've got the scope, we've got a tripod, we've got a mount, we've got a camera. I also brought some lenses for doing visual photography, visual observations. And what you see on the end here is a solar mask. So what I'm doing, first of all, as I don't have the tracking mount, easiest object to find in the sky is the sun. So especially here in the Philippines, we get a lot of sunny days. So I got the solar mask, and today I'm going to be showing you my kind of very first ever image that I'm capturing with a telescope and how I went about doing that. So we'll see how that comes out. I've got no idea, haven't done this before, but I've got a laptop, I've downloaded the software that they say you should use, and we'll see what we get. So let's dive in first of all and take a closer look at exactly what equipment we've got here and how I've got it all set up. So this is the solar mask, very important if you're going to be observing the sun. If you're not pointing at the sun directly, you'll see nothing through the telescope, but when you're pointing this at the sun, you'll see a black around it and a very bright image in the middle. I also got this, which is a solar finder. So this is useful for helping you find the sun, because the telescope is magnified, so a small movement and you can lose the object completely. Although I found I didn't really need to use this, but anyway, I got it just in case, but I didn't really need to use this. I've been able to get an image of the sun just by manually aligning up the telescope. So coming back here then, this is the focusing knob. We've got a fine focus and a kind of coarse focus. Now at the back here is where we've got everything connected up. So in the end here, you can put eyepieces, but you can also put cameras. So what I've got here is the Svbony SV705C camera. So they call this a planetary camera. It's color. You can get monochrome cameras as well, and then you've got to use filters and so on to get the colors out. But I'm just starting with color camera. It has another port here, so this can be used as a guide camera. So when we have the tracking mount, we'll be able to connect this to what's called the auto guide port, and it'll be able to track objects in the sky as the Earth's spinning around. It can get difficult to keep it in view, especially if you need to do long exposures. And then this is our mount. So it's called an azimuth mount. We can move it right and left and up and down. So these knobs here are kind of a fine movement, because you'll find that you really have to move just a small amount, especially when you're heavily zoomed in. A small amount of movement results in a lot of movement of the image. And then this is the fine adjustment for up and down. You can lock and unlock this, so you can also just manually slew it quickly to the position you want and use this for fine adjustment. Carbon fiber lightweight tripod here. Although I found it useful to hang some weight on this, because it is a lightweight tripod, and a little bit of wind can move things and cause your focus to go out. Dovetail mount here to mount the telescope onto this. So that's basically the setup. And then we've got this connected up to a laptop. So we have a USB 3 cable here. I've got it coming down to a powered USB hub. And this powered USB hub goes back to the laptop there. The laptop is also powered. We can run off the battery, of course. So the reason I have a powered USB hub is the camera requires power. It requires more amps than the typical laptop maybe can output. Also as well, I'm going to be connecting up the tracking mount. That also needs to connect to the guiding software on the laptop, and that needs a USB port. So as well as expanding the number of USB ports the laptop has, it also provides power. And you've got these switches here where you can switch on and off the power to those individual ports there. So all of that then, as I say, is connected up here to a laptop, which I've got running several programs. But the main program that we're going to be using to capture the images, I'm using something called NINA, N-I-N-A. That's the Nighttime Imaging and Astronomy. It's a free software that you can download. Install it on your laptop. Now, I am typically a Mac user, but I brought a Windows laptop because most of the astronomy software and the drivers and so on, it's just easier to get up and running using a Windows laptop. You can get it working on a Mac. It's a little more complicated. There are some kind of out-of-the-box solutions as well. ASI makes something called the ASI Air, which is got all the software installed on it. There's drivers for their mounts, for their cameras. It's got Wi-Fi, you have an app, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube that have reviews and showing how they're set up. But this is what I'm using, and I downloaded the Svbony drivers from their website. So you can see here that the camera is basically automatically detected. You can choose some other types of cameras. You can install other drivers, but this is the camera that I've got, the SV705C. So if we select that and then we click this here to connect, you can connect it up to the camera. Now you'll see there's something here called temperature control. So some cameras for astrophotography, they have a temperature sensor on them and also a temperature control. So they can lower the temperature of the CCD, which is what's capturing the image, and that will result in a less noisy, less blurry image. So let's get this set up. So we plug in here into the USB port, make sure I've got all my connections good. We've got our camera connected here. We've got it plugged in on this end into the camera itself. And now we should be able to just go and connect up to the camera. So let's see if this works. I'm able to connect to the camera. Just refresh, try again. There we go. So now connected to the camera successfully, and it detects some information for us. So the minimum exposure time, maximum binning, the pixel sizes, the gain of the camera, the CCD size. So all of this stuff is quite important when you get into astrophotography because it all relates to the kind of focal length and framing of your image. I haven't dove really deep into this stuff yet, so I'm still a little new to all of this, as I say. But that's basically the setup. Now, I do have one of their cameras which has temperature control for deep sky photography. When you connect that up, it'll show here the sensor temperature, and you can set what temperature you want it to be at. I'll cover that in another video when I start doing some deep sky imaging. But today, we're going to be capturing the sun, and so I'm not using that particular camera. Now, over on the side here, you can see there's other things that you can set up. As I don't have the tracking mount, we don't need the guider, we're not setting up any of this, but I have connected to a weather station. We can connect up to that, and now you see it shows connected successfully. So I created an account on openweathermap.com that's free, and it will show you the kind of weather conditions, which is great because the weather can really affect the quality of your images. If you have high wind speed, it can shake the camera around or shake the telescope around. So it's the direction that the wind's coming from. The amount of cloud cover, obviously very important. If we're going to be doing photography, you don't want clouds blotting out the view. Our temperature and humidity. Now, the lower humidity, the better images you're going to get. I'm in the Philippines. The humidity is always going to be rather high. So it's not perfect viewing conditions here, but anyway, that's that. So once we're all connected up here, you can go over to the imaging tab where we can begin to capture images from the camera. So over here you can set your exposure time. So I've set it to the minimum, as you remember from our settings here. The minimum is 3.7 E to the minus 0.5 is our minimum time. So I've set that here, 3.7 E to 0.5. Binning we've left on 1.1. Our gain is nothing because I'm photographing the sun, so I'm thinking I probably don't need very much gain at all. I've set the target name as the sun, so when we save the images, that's the name it's going to get. And you can see over here, then it shows our weather because we're connected to the weather station. And then if we want to view what's coming from the camera, let's turn save off. You just have it on loop and you hit this button here and it will start capturing images. Now, right now, the telescope is here inside and we're not going to capture anything because we are not pointing up at the sun right now. So we're just going to see a black screen. But this is useful for a kind of a live view. When you're done imaging, you can press stop. Now, if you want to save the images that you're capturing, obviously you're going to turn this on and it will begin to save every image that it captures. But right now, we just need that off. So that's basically how we get everything set up. So this is gone quite smoothly, really. It took a bit of research, maybe a week or so of research, what telescope to buy, how it all works together, what software to use. But as you can see, the setup has been relatively straightforward. A single USB cable, go into a hub, make sure the hub is powered, downloaded the relevant freeware software, and we're up and running, and I'm connected to the camera and ready to start capturing some images. So let's go and get the camera set up, or the telescope set up outside, pointed at the sun, and start seeing what we can capture. Okay, so for the initial setup, I've actually put a visual eyepiece on here instead of the camera. So these basically, you undo this screw here that keeps them in place, and you can slide this out. So you can put in different eyepieces. I'm going with quite a wide 18mm view eyepiece here, which is enough for me to be able to easily find things. You just tighten up that screw, it locks it in place. Then when you want to swap it out for the camera later, you can do. Then you can use this solar aligner to help you get approximately lined up with the sun there. And then let's see what we've got. So right now it's not in focus, but I don't know if we can see it on here. You can see there we've got the sun now centered in our frame. And that's the kind of view that you get through the lens with the solar filter on. Now let's get the camera set up. Okay, so we've got everything set up now. We've got the camera connected up to the USB hub, exactly as you saw earlier. And we're connected up to the laptop and we are capturing images. So you can see here, this is our images being captured. You can see how the sun is moving. That's why the tracking mounts are useful. It's going to go out of view shortly. I'm going to have to adjust the focus, but you can see that the image that we get is pretty blown out and doesn't really show any detail. And you're kind of wondering, well, what use is that? But later on, when we've captured the images and we put them into Photoshop, we can pull out the detail. There's a lot of detail in these images that you can't see right now. So we'll go ahead and we'll capture a bunch of images and then we'll process them afterwards and see what we get. Okay, so now we've captured our images. We've got something here called Deep Sky Stacker. This is another free software that you can download, and it's used usually for stacking images. So when you've done deep sky photography, nebulae and so on, you're going to have a bunch of images and you're going to need to stack them and pull out the information from those images. Now, we don't need to stack for the image that we've done of the sun, I'm just going to take a single frame and we're going to edit that. So the first thing is, the astronomy cameras don't shoot in RAW format or JPEG format like, say, your DSLR would. They shoot in a format called FITS, and Deep Sky Stacker can open those files, Photoshop can't. GIMP, I believe, which is kind of freeware Photoshop, can open them directly. I might take a look at using that at some point. But what we can do here is we can open our picture file, so we can open all of the images that we have here in our computer that we captured. So they've all been captured to the Nina folder, and here, all these images here. So we can open the files from there, and I've already chosen one that I want to open. So I think I had a look at them earlier. It's 008 or 0087. Because this gives us the image in the middle. Now at the moment, you see, we've got nothing there. It's just a black screen there. But if we begin to adjust these here, you can see we can begin to bring out some of the detail that's there hidden in that image. And you begin to see sunspots and so on there. So this is an example of what we can do, but however, what we want to do here is just open an individual picture file, which is 0087, and we want to export it. I want to get it out of here as a format that I can use in Photoshop. So we'll open file 0087, and there we have it. And what we're going to do then is I'm going to save this image as a TIFF file. I'm not going to do any editing of it here. I'm just going to go to Save, Picture to File. We'll save it as a TIFF, and what I'm using is I'm using Dropbox to share images between here and my laptop. So we go here to Astrophotography. We'll call this Sun 2. No compression. TIFF. I want to save it as a TIFF 32-bit channel, and we'll go to Save. And that will save this image, and it's going to upload it to my Dropbox. And then from Dropbox, I'll be able to open it on my Mac in Photoshop, and we'll be able to begin to make this look more like a picture of the actual sun. So here we are now in Photoshop, and no more shaky camera. I've got screen capture software set up on my Mac, so this will be a lot nicer than what we had before. So now we've got our TIFF loaded in here. So this is what Deep Sky Stacker exported. I saved it to Dropbox. I've opened it now on my Mac. And what we want to do now is begin to make this look more like a picture of the sun. So the first thing is, for some reason, again, I'm all new to this. It's showing up here as grayscale. So I want to change to RGB instead. And then I'm going to open up my levels and curves, okay? So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to curves, and this is our default RGB curve here, and we can begin to pull things here, and you can see the difference it makes to the image. We can bring out some details and so on. But what I want to do though is add some color to this, because this is kind of boring in grayscale. So I'm going to go to the red channel, and you can see here now, if we begin to adjust things, we can make the sun redder. If we change to the green channel, then we're going to add some green to that, and you'll see now the red and the green mix starts to get us a yellowish color. And then we can go here to the blue, and we can adjust the blue to get a more yellowish color of the sun. So we can begin to get the kind of color that maybe you would associate more with the sun than the black and white image that we had originally. So that gets us some color. Now let's go and look at our brightness and contrast. So if we increase the contrast and the brightness a bit, then we can begin to bring out some more of the details, such as these sunspots and so on. So this basically is how we edit the image. This is real basic editing, and I'm not an expert at this. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is my very first ever astrophotography image. This isn't so much of a tutorial, but more just my experience and what I know so far. But I guess for a very first attempt, this hasn't come out too badly. It looks okay. I'm sure that we can get things that are better, but we play around then with this in Photoshop, and we can begin to get more interesting kind of image coming out of this with the sunspots and so on. We can see here. We could crop the image to get a bit closer, and you can see there the sunspots. So that's it. That's my first ever astrophotography image of the sun using a Svbony telescope, camera, lenses, mount. It's the whole kit was from Svbony. So hopefully you'll join me in further videos where we're going to follow my progress, explore more in the sky at night, and hopefully get some quite amazing images of nebulae and stars and planets. As I learn this process and get better at it, we're going to see better results, and I hope that you can join me on my astrophotography journey.